Good morning. The title for today is Redefining and Repurposing Our World. Yes, the word that escaped me when doing yesterday's video is repurposing. An appropriate synonym is redefining. Many of us hold a vision of what that more ideal world would look and how it would work. For one, there would be a common law applied universally. A law that allows each embodiment the freedom to be and do without coercion or external interference. There would be no authority other than the ability to determine when anyone infringed on another's rights and caused that one damage, for which there would be retribution of some kind. The truth is, these principles have been codified in our world for at least a few centuries. The problem is, our insane psychopathic and sociopathic leaders think they are exempt. While often claiming to espouse these common values, they do the exact opposite, creating a double bind or conflicting disconnect between the ideal and the experienced reality. This needs to change. And as Aristo has often said, it cannot happen until these psychopaths are restrained. Then we can redefine and repurpose our world. I've been pondering this. I started in the atrium this morning with my meditation, and then I went into the meditation room up until 4 o'clock before I came to the computer, and just asking myself, what's it going to take, Ron? What's it going to take? I mean, I've been going through a personal thing, as Lisa said on the Collective Imagination last night. We're all going through this process of re-examining our own lives, our relationships, the things that we do, and how we interact in the world. We're all going through that, and I'm certainly going through it. I mean, it's been especially since the events over the past month and a half or so have unveiled themselves to me, and some of the things that I thought were true weren't. Some of the things that I thought I believed, I now question. But as I look at the world, as I've talked in days past, sometimes even people that see the common vision, that have the vision of a better world, the how it's going to be, how it's going to come about, escapes us. And we end up fighting among ourselves oftentimes, because we're probably fighting internally with ourselves, but it appears to be fighting. People with high ideals fight each other over how it's going to come, how is it going to happen. And the truth of the matter is, I don't think a single one of us has that answer. We all have pieces of answers, but the single answer that will unify everything, I don't know. Is it going to be a cosmic event, an alignment of some sort? I mean, there's a supermassive galactic plasma ray, supposedly, and that's a title to a YouTube video if you want to look it up. That's being emitted from a black hole that has the ability to change our DNA in the twinkling of an eye. All right. I'm not saying that's going to happen, because cosmic events have come and gone. We've had eclipses, we've had solstices and equinoxes, we've had planetary alignments and sextiles and all I don't even know all the astrological terminology, but we've had all of these things forever. And we're still where we're at. So what it's going to take to trigger this shift in consciousness that allows us at least long enough to get on the same page to make the changes that are necessary to change the governance of the world and to change the operating system and reprogram the software. I mean, I don't know what that something is going to be. I was talking to my banker yesterday, and telling her that there's a new financial system coming, and she said it'll be hundreds of years. And many of you say the same thing because you see how embedded the old system and the old paradigm seems to be. And when you think about repurposing our structures, I mean, it is a challenge because the mindset for restructuring is evasive. It doesn't seem even to exist at the top of the so-called pyramid. The bottom of the pyramid is shifting, which should make the top collapse, actually, but it hasn't happened yet. And so many people are saying, where's the money? Where's the change I can believe in? Where am I going to be able to see something? When am I going to be able to see something that will affect my life positively and stop the insanity, stop the nonsense, stop the foreclosures, stop the violence, stop the false imprisonments and false arrests, and stop the bankruptcies and all of the things that affect people's lives. Stop the warring in my relationships. And when am I going to be able to experience peace inside of me, not to mention peace on earth? And many of us, myself included, can find in meditation that place of peace. But perhaps I'm a little bit different than most because I too look at the outer world and says, when is it, and I ask myself, when is it going to matter? When is it going to manifest? When is it going to bring changes that are visible around me, not just changes that I can feel within me? I can feel those. I mean, I've experienced such deep connections with all that is at times that I fly. I mean, I literally float on a cloud almost. I've been there, folks. I've been there. But like so many, I want to see the changes in the real world, which means not the invisible world. The manifest world is the real world. Now, I know the esotericists and the mystics will say, no, the real world is the one that's invisible. No, creation changed all of that. And evolution changed all of that. The real world is the one that's manifest. It's not the invisible world. It's from the invisible world that the manifest world may be created. But the real world is not the invisible one. It's the visible one. That's the real world. That's where things are worked out in reality. It's not the illusion. The illusion is the invisible thing that we don't see. The reality is the visible thing that we do see. And you say, Ron, you don't understand your physics. You don't understand your physics. Ron, there is no such thing as matter. It's all empty space. Wrong. There is such a thing as matter. We can experience it. It's solid. I know the physics principles of it. I know it's mostly empty space, but it's physical to my experience, to my senses. That's the real world. And that's the world I've been trying to reconcile with the world that impinges on me from the invisible side, or the spiritual side, or the mystic side. I get it. I want them joined. I want them married. I want them married in me and in my experience, which means around me. I want to be safe to do and create and be and work at things and play and experience life joyfully. And I don't want to do that by pretending. I want to do that because it's real, because it's inescapable, because it's what I actually experience. Without pretense, without lying to myself, without doing some escape mental exercise into some la-la land, sugarcoating everything and pretending something is what it isn't. The reality is that our structures, including the banks and stuff, the banks can be made to serve the people. They need a change of consciousness from the top down. And that may have to be catalyzed from the bottom up, which is what many people are doing. We're trying to catalyze the whole thing from the bottom up. And that, even that's inverted, because the people that are truly in touch with spiritual realities and higher principles, they're really the leaders. But that's not how the world is structured. The world is structured with psychopaths and sociopaths in the leadership role, which is a total inversion of truth. It's not true, which is what creates the double bind experience where there's a contradiction between what is said with the mouth, what is proclaimed, and what is actually experienced. Oh, they talk about democracy. They talk about freedom. And I say they, I'm talking about the world leaders. They talk about justice. They throw these words around, but they escape the accountability of the very principles and foundation upon which those words have meaning. And so what people experience is a double bind relationship where it's like the parent that's telling the child, I love you, I really love you, and beats the child and makes the child wrong. Every time the child wants to do something, they're made wrong. And so the child experiences a split in their personality. It's a double bind that creates a schism in their soul structure. And they have to disconnect. They have to separate into sometimes multiple personalities to handle the double bind experience of the contradiction between what the parent or the caregiver or authority figure says and what they feel for themselves. They have to deny themselves and question themselves. We've all been there, folks. That's the human experience that we've experienced so far. We want a human experience that is universally joyful, universally celebratory. I want to make sure we're not talking celibate, we're talking celebration. And I want to make sure that that's clear. Which makes me think of the translators of the ancient scriptures. And the one says, we've gotten it all wrong. It's celebrate, not celibate. They forgot a letter. It was transcribed incorrectly with just one character missing. We've had some characters missing in our universal experience of life on this planet. And we're being given an opportunity to turn it around. Maybe this super massive galactic plasma ray coming from the dark matter or the black hole, maybe that's going to trigger something. I don't know. I want something to be triggered. I don't want to wait generations for the change to actually begin to be noticeable. I want it more rapidly than that. I want it in my lifetime, and I would like it this month if possible, certainly this year, so that I could stop fighting and start dancing. That's my take for today. Are we going to redefine and repurpose our world? It will take perhaps looking at things from a completely different perspective. And what it's going to take to put us on the same page to at least begin that process, I don't know what that answer is, but I pray for it to happen soon. Thank you for listening. Namaste.